Okay, now we're moving on to a section on racism. Although Christian teaching has always opposed racism, there are many examples in the past of Christians and Christian organisations being guilty of racism. The biblical teaching on equality shapes Christian attitudes towards racism. Christians are opposed to prejudice and discrimination, and that obviously would include racism. One of the main teachings of Jesus against racism is told in the parable of the Good Samaritan, where in answering the question, who is my neighbour, Jesus teaches that people should treat everyone well. Many Christian denominations and individuals have been and are involved in the fight against racism. One famous example is Martin Luther King, who lived from 1929 to 1968. He was a Baptist minister who led protests against racial discrimination in the USA in the 1950s and 60s. He spent most of his life trying to get the law in the USA changed through peaceful process. And legislation to separate blacks and whites in the USA, called the Jim Crow laws, was finally abolished in the introduction of the Civil Rights Act in 1964. However, there have been occasions over the centuries when the Christian church has rightly been accused of racism and religious intolerance. For example, the Crusades in the 11th and 13th centuries, and perhaps with the slave trade, and almost kind of in the origins of the apartheid system in South Africa. There has also been debate over the silence of the Roman Catholic Church about the persecution of Jews in Nazi Germany during the Second World War. It's good to know about apartheid. It's a political system in South Africa from 1948 to early 1990s that separated different peoples living there and gave benefits to the European and the white populations. Martin Luther King, exceptionally important person when it comes down to it, somebody fighting against racism. And the most important example of biblical teaching about racism is the Good Samaritan. Also, you could refer to Leviticus 19:33 to 34, which talks about treating foreigners well in a time of famine. But that's everything for now.